Welcome to Forthright. I'm Sulani Madsen, bringing you a podcast with last week's column and a legislative update on the status of the bill that I wrote about. And herewith is the column first published February 29th, 2024 in the Spokesman Review, headlined, How a Simple Bill Becomes Bloated. House Bill 1899 started life as a simple way to provide immediate wildfire relief at no cost to the state. 2 months later, it is emerging from the legislative sausage grinder as a new grant program, burning through millions in taxpayer money for the next 5 years. I couldn't believe they took out the initial intent of the bill, Medical Lake Mayor Terry Cooper said. It doesn't serve the people who were impacted at all. We're telling people don't count on 1899. Representative Mike Volz, Republican of Spokane, introduced HB 1899 to help the 366 homeowners faced with rebuilding after last summer's Gray and Oregon Road fires in Spokane County. A new energy code adopted by the State Building Code Council is scheduled to go into effect March 15. According to the Spokane Home Builders Association, the new code adds $25,000 to $30,000 to the cost of building an average new home. Building codes were originally designed to establish minimum standards to protect public health and safety, but they've been commandeered for use as a blunt policy instrument by progressive interests. One builder, quoted on the Building Industry Association of Washington website, explains the difference succinctly. It makes no sense to have such a strict energy code that essentially mandates we build each home like a Tesla when a Toyota is a perfectly suitable option. HB 1899 simply allowed people affected by the August wildfires to choose to rebuild under the current, pretty darn good energy conservation requirements, or they could rebuild under the next generation of the energy code. Upfront savings of $25,000 is enough to make or break the ability of some families to rebuild. The cost to the state of Washington of the original bill, according to the fiscal note prepared by legislative staff, $0. Additional paperwork and regulatory burden to homeowners, $0. Impact, immediate planning certainty for struggling homeowners. Cooper, who also serves as the president of the Spokane Region Long-Term Recovery Group, estimates more than half of those affected already have their permits to rebuild. She says, those who are well positioned are moving forward. It's the people who need help the most who are left out, the working poor still living in a tent or an RV and trying to pull resources together. So what happened? Governor Inslee's climate agenda steamrolled over the needs of the working poor with the assistance of Representative Marcus Riccelli, Democrat of Spokane. A substitute bill was introduced by Riccelli, resulting in the final version that passed the House as Engrossed Second Substitute House Bill 1899. It still carries the title of wildfire relief without providing much, if any. What it does do is create a new government disaster relief program requiring one new full-time position in the Department of Commerce, plus part-time assignments for 5 other state employees, for a total of 2.3 full-time equivalent positions at a cost of $392,723 in salaries, benefits, travel, and the purchase of one new workstation in the first year. Operating costs for each of the next 4 fiscal years is projected to be $364,882. The total fiscal impact is over $1.8 million for administrative costs, plus $5 to $10 million in grant funds. For less than $10 million, the state could send a $25,000 check to all 366 households and call it a day. For those struggling to figure out if they can afford shelter, a bill that says it is to help pay for, quote, providing or increasing electric vehicle charging capacity and the installation and use of solar panels on a building that did not, prior to being damaged or destroyed, utilize solar panels, end quote, misses the point. The only eligible items specifically called out are pet progressive nice-to-haves. A vague reference to increased energy efficiency is subject to bureaucratic interpretation. Cooper called it shameful. After the largest loss of primary homes in the history of Washington State, we can't make a pause to help 150 people rebuild their lives, and then we wonder why people lose heart in the political process and don't stay engaged anymore. End quote. The Spokane Region Long-Term Recovery website at srltr.org has links to available assistance, including Red Cross case managers who can help the less well-positioned get their permit applications filed before the March deadline. That deadline may be extended if the Building Industry Association is successful in its request for a court injunction to put a pause on the new code for everyone in the state. And there you have it, how a simple bill focused on the needs of the people is transformed into food for a bloated bureaucracy. Do you prefer Representative Volz's solution at zero cost to the state and an immediate option for relief, or Representative Riccelli's solution at a cost of $6.8 to $11.8 million and a roll of red tape? A conservative columnist couldn't ask for a clearer demonstration of the difference between the Republican and Democratic approaches to problem solving. I held off on the podcast, hoping the Democrats on the House Appropriations and Senate Ways and Means Committees would come to their senses and take Spokane County Commissioner Josh Kern's advice to go back to the original bill, but no such luck. At the public hearing before the House Appropriations Committee on E2SHB 1899, Kearns testified that the homes that burnt were built decades ago and pointed out that rebuilding under the codes in place in 2023 would already mean they would be much more efficient simply because of advances in materials technology since the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. One Silver Lake property owner who lost her home said, "Please don't make us fill out any more paperwork." Katie Sheehan of Spokane testified as a private citizen in favor of the substitute bill. She said she first became aware of the original language because she's serving on the State Building Code Council, but that the council has not taken a position. She was against allowing a pause for the less than 130 families because somehow whether those 130 families are forced to spend an extra $25,000 on tighter windows and siding and install electric vehicle charging and solar panels is going to make or break the future of the planet. $25,000 is an amount that may well make or break whether a family can afford to rebuild their home. Lucas Garcia, he testified for the original bill, and he was there again testifying as other for the Spokane Valley Chamber of Commerce. He noted that of the 350 homes that were destroyed, he went on to describe the situation in such precise testimony that I just want to quote it for you. And this was what he had to say to the House Appropriations Committee. 220 have already permitted or have submitted plans under the codes that will lapse in a few weeks. 130 families are left that need our help, and while we originally testified in support of this bill, we have now changed our position to other in light of the bill's fiscal note. We support moving the legislation and hope the House will address the following issues. First, Commerce expects rulemaking to conclude in the second quarter of 2025, providing no assistance for the remainder of the year to victims. Second, without the emergency clause, this bill takes another full fiscal quarter to get into our communities. Third, establishing a competitive grant program leads to higher administrative costs for our localities, and we are concerned that this is an inequitable approach to helping victims. Fourth, being tied to the CCA, that's Climate Commitment Act, increases uncertainty for victims, and I'll explain there that's the uncertainty is because the CCA is potentially going to be repealed if the initiative passes. Fifth, this substitute looks ahead, but we were hoping to look back at what happened last year and help those people. And again, when he's saying that this substitute looks ahead, the testimony in favor of the substitute bill from a couple of state agency people was that we need to set a precedent going forward that we're going to make sure that the newest codes are always enforced. And sixth, we believe that this could have been accomplished without a fiscal note. And yes, it could have. Even the guy testifying from the military department that manages disaster relief programs was concerned about coordination and about how this was going to play out going forward. This is no longer a disaster relief bill. It's a new multi-year, multi-million-dollar state employment program. The Democrats have grabbed onto a crisis for the 130 families as an excuse to start a new program with climate in its name. Ironically, the Department of Commerce and the Democrats are this very same session trying to push through another bill to create a navigator program so people can actually find all the existing energy conservation programs the Commerce Department handles. For the families still trying to pull together resources to rebuild, I'm pretty sure I know what they'd say. Please don't make us fill out any more paperwork. It's a ridiculous substitute bill, and Representative Marcus Riccelli should be embarrassed to have agreed to take the lead for Democrats in overriding Representative Mike Volz's effective zero-cost solution. Be sure to subscribe at Substack with or without a pledge for notifications of new content via email from the platform. Take advantage of the opportunity to comment on this and any previous posts or to email suggestions for new topics. And as always, reference links for this column will be included after the video link in the Substack post so you can check for yourself. Thanks for listening.